One of the police officers comes and he's like, "You're going to the hole. It's on the 4th floor. Run." Nobody has an idea what goes on in foreign prisons. Shootouts that last 4 to 6 hours. Grenades getting thrown into cells. I was stabbed. I've been put in cells, kidnapped. I've been beaten. I paid for what I did.
After I have that first one, I'm no longer in control. I really wanted to quit. And then I would wake up the next morning and have no choice. I'd lost my identity and I didn't know who I was. I just had nothing left. And I needed help so bad. It all came down on me. And the police officers arrested me. I had hit rock bottom. I just knew I was gonna die. And I remember just praying that foxhole prayer, like, God, please just get me through this moment. I'll stop doing bad. I will stop everything. The goal of my podcast is to not only educate people on, mental health, but also let people know that they're not alone.
So Oscar, welcome.
Thank you, man. Kevin, pleasure to meet you. So happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you driving out. Where are you originally from? You drove from Jersey. Are you originally from Jersey?
Yeah, so born and raised in Jersey. We just drove up from New Jersey as well. Short ride, but we're here. We're here to tell our story.
Where in Jersey are you from?
Verona.
Northern Jersey?
Yeah, northern Jersey.
Okay. What's the biggest city near there?
I would say Newark is probably the most known. That's where the airport is. We're about 20 minutes from the airport.
Okay, got it. Awesome. What was early childhood like for you? Did you have siblings, and how was your relationship with your parents?
Relationship with my parents was great. Didn't have siblings. I had a stepsister, which was in my life at the time when I was young. We would visit each other. We knew each other, and we always spoke, went out on weekends to go eat. But no siblings. The home was great. My family was wonderful. Always gave me everything I wanted. They were very hardworking. My mother owned a store. My father worked with a lawyer as an assistant. He was a legal clerk, and it was a great childhood. I can't complain. Never needed for anything, and I guess we could say it's just that I wanted like the easy life. We would say, right?
Yeah.
I was attracted to the easy life, making money quick. Things like that.
What kind of things were you doing to make money quick?
So at a young age, I started like with baseball cards, basketball cards, collectibles. In school, I would sell, I would trade. And then that just grew into like, when I got to 7th and 8th grade, that grew into like selling weed. Pretty much kids from the high school would come down to my middle school and wait for me to get out because they knew I had the weed and I would sell. So I was just attracted to the attention, making money easily, and to me it was like an adrenaline rush, pretty much. And being the popular kid, everybody was always looking for me.
For sure. Personality-wise, what would your friends describe you like?
I would say outgoing. I was always like the first guy to initiate anything, be it like going to talk to a girl or being a plan where we're going to go out, what we're going to do for the weekend. So I was always like the first one to say something or always want to do something first.
So I'm getting very, you're chill, but I'm getting very serious vibes from you.
Okay.
And at a younger age, were you more of a class clown or no? Were you always a serious?
No, yeah. As a young kid, I was the class clown. I was voted class clown in 7th grade.
Okay.
And 8th grade, I was like the most popular. But yes, I guess very serious due to having to grow up earlier because of the life I chose. So yeah, I'm a pretty serious person, you would say, yeah.
So take us through your middle school and high school days. What was that like for you? And in terms of identity of like who you were as a person, finding yourself, what was that process like in middle school and high school?
Okay, so I mean, middle school was pretty fun. Had a lot of friends, very outgoing, played sports, but I started getting in trouble. Selling weed. I would get suspended in school for fighting, things of that nature. I got suspended so many times in 8th grade that I believe after the 4th time, they told me, we're not going to send you home now. You're going to have in-school suspension in the principal's office in the corner doing homework that you never do all day, right? So it was getting pretty bad. I was getting in trouble a lot in the streets, hanging out with kids that were not of my age. So my parents decided to just get up and move, right? They were like, that's it. This kid's not going the right way in this town. So they moved. Now we moved to another city, and it was not the best place. It was Roselle in New Jersey, and changed high schools, right? So now I get to this new high school. I'm the new kid there in 9th grade, and really just, don't know anybody. And I was pretty much the only white kid there, to be like 100%. There were all black kids in the high school, and I was getting into fights every day. From the day one, got into a fight. Day 3, got into another fight, got suspended, the first week in school. And my parents were like, what are we going to do with you? Do we have to send you to boarding school? Like, what are the options? So I pretty much said, I don't want to do school anymore. I'm going to drop out. I'll get a job. And that's what we did. So my father said, you have to get a job immediately. You're not going to be some lazy kid around here. So I got a job working for a warehouse for Barnes & Nobles in New Jersey. Now, I was going through a temp agency. So we're in a van, going to work with a bunch of Mexicans, illegal immigrants, and I'm the only little white kid in this van, right? So I'm going to work, working in the warehouse, forklift job, driving a forklift at almost 17 years old. I meet this Colombian kid there. We meet during lunch. He invites me outside, we smoke a cigarette, maybe smoke a joint during lunch break or something, and he ends up inviting me to his house later on. So one day I get to his house, and we walk in, he introduces me to everybody, his mother, his sisters, and his cousins there, this kid named Ricky. So we meet Ricky, and one day he invites me to a party. So we get to this party, and his family's there, and there's a bunch of like upper level Colombian traffickers. There's a lot of gold, a lot of beautiful women, Mercedes outside, all that good stuff.
Did you know what was going on when you were at that party? Like who those people were? And
to tell you the truth, I had no idea who they were. This is the first time I'm meeting them. I'm showing up at a Christmas party for the family with these guys. I'm just walking in the house, not knowing anybody. But as I scan the room, I can tell, these are some powerful people here. Of course, there's like plates of cocaine. There's a lot of whiskey around.
At the family Christmas party.
Yes.
Wow.
At the party. This party was in New Brunswick. Oof. New Brunswick, New Jersey. So later on throughout the party, I meet this gentleman, Ricky's uncle, comes out to me and says, hey, kid, have you ever been to Colombia? I was like, no, I've never been. He's like, would you like to go there and make some money? So, of course, we get into the conversation. He tells me, you could catch a flight, make a quick $20,000. I'm going to pay you $20 a gram. You're going to bring back a kilo of heroin. Go home, think it over, let us know what you think, and if you're willing to do it, we're ready when you are. So I didn't even have to think about it. I said, let's do it. I'm down. I immediately thought, where's my passport? I know it's in my mother's house hidden somewhere. So pretty soon, got to my house, started looking for the passport, found it, didn't say a word to anybody, and left. So at this time, I already had the job. I had moved out, rented a studio apartment, was living on my own. So I didn't even tell my parents I'm leaving. Get the ticket, they give it to me, they tell me what's gonna happen. I'm gonna catch a flight, I'm gonna get down there, and somebody's gonna be at the airport waiting for me with a sign that says Pacho. So I know that I have to go to that guy. So as soon as I get off the airplane, looking for the guy with the sign, find him, and hey, I'm Oscar, let's go. They take me, get my luggage, put me in the car, and we're off. Now, we land in this house in this town called Pereira in Colombia, and I walk in, and it's the guy's house, it's his family. His wife's there, his kids, some kids are my age, and introduced me to everybody. Obviously, the whole family knows that I'm there for the family business. So this guy that I met in his house, his brother is the guy that I met at this party in New Brunswick. So the brother's up here, he's down in Colombia. He'll receive the passengers, they get the drugs, package it up. Back in the day, we're doing the shoes or sandals. So they put it in your shoe, done by a professional shoemaker, molded out to the size of your shoe. It could be a pair of Adidas, any shoe that just didn't have an air bubble. Could be a pair of Pumas. They gut it out, make the mold out of the drugs, put it in, seal it back up, and then you're walking through the airport with the drugs on you. So that was the deal, right? I stayed there, had like 2 weeks partying, you know, going out, women, fun, anything I wanted, cash, whatever you wanted, it was there.
They were providing all this for
Provide
you.
everything.
Sounds
right?
amazing.
It was amazing, especially for a 16-year-old, right? Imagine that. So have the time of my life, right? And now the day comes where you have to travel back. Of course, nervous, probably nervous the whole flight, the whole time I was down there. But, you know, as you're having fun, you're trying not to think about the flight. Now, the day the flight comes, you know, they tell me, all right, here are the shoes, here are the sandals. There's 300 in each shoe. There's 300 in each sandal. You're going to take it back, and, you know, that's where you're going to get paid for. So get to the airport, just walk in casually. I had my Walkman on back in the day. I don't even remember Sony Walkmans. They were like yellow, the waterproof ones. Got them on, my little hat down, you know, nice shave, clean shaven face, you know, and I'm just a tourist coming back. So hop on the flight, 6-hour flight from Pereira back to JFK. We get to JFK, we land, coming out of the tunnel, came on an Avianca flight, which back in the day were the hottest flights for drug mules. So once we go in through the tunnel's, we get stuck. There's nobody flowing out of the tunnel. So we're gradually moving and moving. Once I get to the exit, I can see in front of us there's a wall, DEA agents. They're calling random passengers, checking their paperwork, I guess scanning them, looking at their eyes, then they let you go. I'm like, please don't call me. Walk out, don't even look at them, and then I get called. Hey, you. Some guy calls me over, walk over, give him my passport. He's like, what were you there for? I was like, I went to go visit my grandmother. There had just been an earthquake in the town I visited. So, you know, my parents provided some money for me to bring to her because they can't travel. He was like, all right, son, here you go. Let me walk right through. Called the next passenger he saw. I'm gone.
Did your heart just...
My heart was like, just dropped.
And then once you were let go,
it's like euphoria, right? It's like a high. God. So the adrenaline rush is so much that I'm floating as I'm walking through this airport. You have no idea, right? They told me, once you get back and you get through to the customs line, look for a woman. If you see an elderly woman, even better. But they were doing that because, you know, they were saying, young white kid, green eyes, you look harmless, look for a woman, she might like you. Give her the spiel about your grandmother back in Colombia. They're going to stamp that passport, no problem. So I walk up to the customs, I scan it, boom, I see an elderly woman at customs working. So I jump in her line, get right behind it, bam, 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 get up to the window. What were you here for? Where'd you go to Colombia for? I told him the spiel about my grandmother. She was like, oh, welcome back to the States, son. Have a great day. Bam, walk right out. All of a sudden I'm walking, I feel like somebody's gonna grab me from behind. Hey you, come here, right? You just feel it. Walking, I want to get outside. My boys are there, they pick me up. We're gone. Back to Queens, to an apartment we had on 111th and 41st Ave in Corona, Queens.
Corona, Queens, the 115 precinct over there. I know Corona.
You know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Uh-huh.
You did stuff back in the day back then?
Actually, no. Quite the opposite. I had family that worked in the 115.
Oh, okay.
Undercover, yeah.
Hopefully they never saw me.
No. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah. Right. So you go back into Queens. You're staying in Queens.
We get to Queens. We get to the apartment. Bam. Take off the shoes. Get the sandals out of the suitcase. We're working, breaking everything open to the scale, weighing it, seeing how much we got, and then they're like, all right, 1,200 grams, $20, bop, 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 bop. Get all my cash, count it, and that's it. I'm done, right? Just got paid, stack of cash. This is like the biggest high of my life.
You're 16 and you just got paid 20 G's.
Yeah, it was like 22,000 I got cash.
Jeez, you're rich at that age.
At that age, and in 1998, right? We're talking about decades.
That's big money for
a big money.
16-year-old.
It's huge money. So at that age, what do you want to do? You want to go party, right? We're going to party. We're going to the clubs, bought a car, drug dealer kit, Mercedes. You got, use Mercedes, buy a gold chain, and then you're almost done with your cash. Luckily, since I stayed with these guys, I also blew my money with them, right? And we became boys. I get into their organization, right? What they do, I start seeing they're going on, they're going to pick up drugs, they're going to deliver drugs, picking up money, they're bringing it back to Queens. So I get into the movements with them. Now, since I'm the only one that has the blue passport, I'm white, green eyes, I don't stand out, they're gonna, they're gonna use me. So now I'm going to the airport, and I'm picking up the passengers that are coming back. These people that are going to Colombia, to this gentleman's brother's house down there, are now flying back. I'm picking them up, same thing, taking them back to the airport. We're gutting everything out. We're weighing it in front of them so they know they're not getting robbed. Cash on hand, pay them out, and they leave. And that's what we started doing. It was crazy.
How old are you at this time when you're now working in the organization?
17 to 18. Yeah.
Okay, so this is like 98 to 2000-ish?
Yeah, 99-ish, yeah.
Pre 9/11 almost.
Yeah, pre 9/11, yeah.
So security was tight, but not as tight.
No, not as tight, not at all. Yeah,
TSA.
Security, to tell you, it was a joke. For me to walk through the airport was crazy. It was the easiest thing ever, and I did it once, and I was like, this is crazy. I got to do it again.
Yeah.
How could I not? It was so easy. So, worked for a little bit. Obviously, I wanted to go back immediately, but they're like, hey, wait, you can't. You're flying to Colombia again, relax. So, wait a little bit until the next year, and then I was like, all right, the year's up. What's up? And they're like, all right, kid, here we go, another one. Ticket, and we're back to the same house. Now, I get to the house, and 2 days prior, I had taken this 14-year-old kid to the airport and dispatched him because the guy I was working for up here, he had one of his girlfriends, and this girl was sending her son to Colombia and having him bring back drugs, and he didn't even know about it. And she was doing it for like the past 3-4 years, which was insane. So she would ship her son summer vacation to Colombia. He'd have a blast down there because in this house there were kids of his age, right? Have a blast down there. They take him to the pools, the lakes, waterfalls, all that good stuff. Colombia's a beautiful country. There's so many places nice that you could go, natural places. And then they would send them back with the drugs. And he had no idea because you'd be like, all right, just take back to your Uncle Tulio, which was, the guy's name. He'd grab the stuff and he'd put it in his suitcase and take it. He didn't know he was 14. He had no idea that his mother was using him as a drug mule. Crazy. So I get to this house and the kid's there. His name was Junior. He's like, hey, what's up? What are you doing here? Oh, yeah, I just decided to come down too. He's like, oh, all right, cool. So I'm down there throughout the whole stretch that he's there, but I'm like on a different level. I'm in a different movie. Even though I'm only like 3 years older than him, I'm going out to the clubs. We're with these women and doing drugs. It's just mayhem down there, right? He's at home playing with these kids. They're playing soccer, basketball, whatever. So again, this time I stay about 2 to 3 weeks. I believe it was like 20 days. Had a blast, enjoyed myself. And then the day comes where it's time to go. So again, we get to the airport. I got all the stuff, walk right through customs, no problems, no issues, until I get to the last part where you have to board the doors, the gate where there's the tunnel to actually get to the airplane. And there's 2 dogs, one on the left, one on the right. And I got a pair of shoes on with the drugs. My heart's thumping, I'm so nervous. I'm just listening to my music. I remember I had the Rough Rider CD at the time that just came out in like 99, Volume 1, right? So I'm listening to like Drag On and DMX, right? So I'm listening to that.
Yeah, I had that.
I got that on and I'm just like, just chill, you're good. You're about to make this money. Don't worry about it, kid, you're good. I'm just walking, and I feel like the dogs are gonna bite me, right? So walk through, no problems. The dog didn't even smell anything. They were just sitting there, nobody touched me, walk right through them. I get to the airplane, sit down, and just like, thank God. Get back to New York. Now, the guy that took me to the airport, I gave him all my money, because obviously I'm like, dude, I'm about to go make some real cash. This is for you. I think I had like $200 or $300 cash, some Colombian pesos, coins. I'm like, here, bro, take everything. See you later. And I left. Because when I get back, my boys are supposed to be there to pick me up. So, walk out, there's nobody there. So I'm like, where are these guys? I have no money to make a call. I'm asking people for quarters. I'm like, Jesus, I got all these drugs on me. And not only that, but the second trip down, I bought Bolivian cocaine and I had it put in a wallet because I tried it down there and it was the best coke I ever tried. And I was like, I got to take this back to party with the boys. Got a wallet made, put some drugs in it, and had it in my back pocket. It was insane. So now I'm in the airport, made it through customs, I scored. I'm in. But nobody's there to pick me up. So what do I have to do now? I'm like, who's going to pick me up? I have no money. I can't even take a taxi. There's no Uber. There's no phones, nothing. There's no pay with your phone or something, right? I have to make a collect call to my parents. Call up my mom. Like, Ma, can you come pick me up? I'm at JFK. What the hell are you doing in JFK? Long story. I'll tell you when you get here. So they're coming to pick me up. I'm outside waiting, sitting on top of my luggage, and there's customs agents walking by. There's dogs. I mean, there's everything. I'm just, I'm literally like, my heart's just thumping, racing, the adrenaline. I'm like high as a kite right now because I don't know what's going on. So I'm sitting there for about an hour, and then my boys roll up. And they're like, oh my God, bro, we're sorry, get in. Boom, I jump in, I'm out. We go to the parking lot. I'm like, you assholes left me over here. What's wrong with you? They're like, bro, we had a problem. We were messed up last night. We got drunk. We thought it was the different hour. I was like, go. We get to the parking lot. I take all the stuff out. I give it to them. Like, you guys got to go drop me back off. I had to call my parents to come pick me up because you guys weren't here. And they're like, oh, my God. So I'm like, all right, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the payment. I go back. They drop me off. I sit down on the curb, and bam, as soon as they pull off, boom, my parents arrive. They look out, jump in the car, and I'm out. Back to the house. Crazy.
So this was your second run.
Second run.
You are working with this drug ring.
Yeah.
And what's going on mentally for you at this point? I mean, is it ego? Because you just
yes,
you just got the next score, right? You just re-up your bank account. You're like 18, 19-ish?
Yeah, 18-ish,
around
19,
there?
yeah.
It's like 2,000.
Yep.
And you did your second score. You got away with it. What are you thinking? Like, what's going on?
Loving it, man. I mean, tell you the truth, I think it's just plain stupidity. But at the moment, I felt the high, like, just your ego kicks in. Your balls are the size of bull balls. Nothing can happen to me. Walking around with your chest out. You know what I mean? It's just like, you feel invincible. Because what you just did is it's very difficult to pull off, right? And then to just maintain your nerves and not, maybe you get so nervous. Some people get nervous and just throw up, and they'll look at you like, what is wrong with this guy? Boom, they take you to the room, they search you, and you're done. Some people can't handle that moment of pressure. Luckily, throughout my lifetime, I've been able to handle moments of pressure very well, which is shocking to me. Yeah.
You land this second time, your parents pick you up, you go back into regular life. What happens next?
So we continue working with the drug ring, right? I got my money. We're going to, put money on the streets. We're picking up drugs. We're moving it from Queens to Elizabeth, to the projects. Back in the day down the seaports, you would roll up to the projects. There'd be 50 people on each corner. They're selling everything: cocaine, crack, weed, speed. I mean, it was anything you wanted, you'd find down there. So we had to connect with the guy that ran the projects, and we would just go drop him stuff off. So we're just working, I'm just working with these guys, and that's what we're doing. There's people that owe our boss money because he would give stuff on credit. We'd go charge these people weekly or monthly, depending what the schedule was, and we'd go pick up brown bags of money. That's the way it was back in the day.
You ever have an incident where someone didn't pay, or?
Oh, of course, yeah. We had incidents where, we had guns pulled on us. We went to go pick up some money, one's in Spanish Harlem, to this gentleman that owned the bodega, and he was in for 2 keys. 2 keys back in the day was 60 a pop. So it was like 120,000, and back in the day, that was a lot of money. And you could die for that money. So one day, me and my boys we get to the store, and we talk to the guy, and the guy's like, I got robbed, what do you want me to do? And he's basically like, saying, I don't want any problems, but if you guys come around here again, we're gonna shoot you up. And we got guns pulled on us, we got taken out of the store, we left. There was a very dangerous moment. There was people, like kids in the store, they started screaming, running out. I mean, they closed the doors on us. I mean, I thought I was gonna die at that moment, tell you the truth.
So you also now are backed by this Colombian family. And what happens in a situation where you go to pick up their money, right? You get guns pulled on you. What do? You just report it back to the family, and then?
I mean, yeah, we were lucky to get out of there with our lives. So once we leave, we go back, explain the situation to the boss. Obviously, he's not happy. He's calling this guy, beeping him, because back in the day it was beepers.
They're handling it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just a tough situation, but something where you're putting your life at risk. And as a young kid, I'm just going with the flow. Basically, I'm living a movie. So, like, my message that I want to push to everybody in the world that listens to this is, young kids watch these movies, they listen to this rap music, and they want to live the life. That's why America's the way it is right now. That's why we have shootings all the time, and that's why, there's just so much crime. A lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people might, say I'm wrong, but I'll tell you it's the truth, because when I was young, that's what I wanted, because I was watching Goodfellas, Scarface, all these movies influence the young people, right? It could influence adults as well. I was listening to rap music, Tupac, Biggie. All this is an influence. So when you start living that life and you hear people rapping about it, you feel like you're a part of them, like you're living what they're speaking about. And to me, that was like a euphoric feeling, right? When I would like walk into a club and they'd be like, oh, here comes, the Colombians, and they'd have a table for us, even though the place was full. Spots that people knew us in Queens. So like things like that would just make you, you feel like you're Superman. You're popping out your chest. So those moments, they could just ruin your life, because as a young kid, you really don't know what you're doing, especially at the age I was.
I feel like it's glamorized significantly in movies. I mean, even Goodfellas, right? When, Henry walks into the club with his girl and they give him the table right in the front, through the back door, through the kitchen.
I wanted to do that. I was like, when's the day this is going to happen to me?
Yeah.
When am I going to do that? Because it's just glorified. People love
glorified, these things, yes. And let me ask you then. So you go to your friend's house. This is before you started working with this family. You work with this guy. He brings you to a family party. Yeah. Then the other family member invites you to another party. You go to the Christmas party. Were you in awe by, I know you said it was senior members of a, drug organization. Was that like, you saw that and you wanted it? Yeah.
So you want it because you want the guy with the beautiful woman
Rolex,
on his side. He's got the Rolex on. He's got a beautiful car outside. He's got a wad full of cash in his pocket, right? None of these guys rolled around with less than 5-10 grand. So back in the day, to me, that was like, I want that.
It's a bankroll.
And that's with everybody. I mean, all the young kids back in the day, people glorify these things. The rappers, they have it, but what people don't understand, what I didn't understand is entertainers are doing entertainment for the people. They are talking about things that they don't actually live. Because if they did live it, they wouldn't be talking about it and making millions. You know what I mean? So that's what people don't understand, that there's a huge line that these guys don't cross. They just rap about it and talk about it, but they've never lived it.
Right. So you are now back in New Jersey. You're running the streets, and do you go on another run?
Yes. So now things get slow. My boss takes off to Colombia, and there's really no work. So me and the guys are dabbling in different things, like fake bills over here, a couple of home invasions over here we did. Things were getting a little too serious for me, which I never like to rob anybody. I did a couple of home invasions, not proud about it, but that's the life I was living at the moment, right? Go in, pistol whipping people, and just taking everything they got. Comes a time where I get the call, and they're like, listen, we moved it to Ecuador. If you want to hop on a run, you could come down and we'll get the stuff shipped over. Of course, let's do it. I'm all in. So at this time, I'm 20, and I fly over in December 2001.
3 months after 9/11.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we get to Ecuador, and from day one, it's wrong. The whole flight down, feeling nervous. Not like the other flights. I think maybe because I know I'm going somewhere where there aren't going to be people that I've been with prior. Like the last time I went to the same house, right? I'm with people I know. So I felt comfortable. Now I'm going to Ecuador. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know who I'm meeting. I'm just meeting a guy with the sign that says Pacho. I don't know if it's going to be the same guy. So get to the airport. There's no guy with a sign there waiting for me. I'm at the airport, make a couple phone calls. They're like, we don't know what's going on. Just catch a cab, go to this hotel. So I go to the Hotel Radisson, the Radisson Hotel that was in Quito, Ecuador. 5-star hotel, great. Gym, saunas, movie theater, beautiful room. So get there, but before I go to the hotel, my luggage gets lost. No luggage. So get to the hotel, no luggage, same clothes, whatever. I call back the next day, no luggage. Stay in the hotel, wait till the third day, call back, no luggage. I'm like, geez, all right, that's it. Got to go to the mall. I go to the mall, this brand new shopping center they just built. I get there, buy a whole bunch of clothes, go shopping. Get back to the hotel, and someone in the lobby, the receptionist, is like, hey, you got a call? They left the number, call them back. Great, thank you. Get up to the room, call back. This gentleman picks up, and he's like, hey, man, I'm the one who's going to meet you. I should be there, about 2 hours. I'm like, all right, awesome, bro. See you in a little bit. So in my head, I'm like, let's go across the street. There was this place there was a Swiss hotel. And the first floor was a casino, and it was all windows. You couldn't see inside, but from the inside, you can see outside. So I go and jump on a slot machine that's directly across from the main entrance to my hotel. Because I feel something's wrong. I'm telling you, the whole time I've been down there, I just have this bad feeling. I remember standing, after I got out of the shower that day in the morning, and I'm like, man, to tell you the truth, I was like, I hope this guy just never shows up and I can leave. I felt that, and I said it in my head, mentally, while I was standing there drying myself. My God, I hope this guy doesn't even show up and I can just leave. That day he shows up. So I'm at the Swiss hotel playing the slots, watching the main door. I don't see nothing suspicious in the main door. So after the 2 hours, stop playing slots, walk into the hotel across the street. Walking in, boom, receptionist, Mr. Castro. Not the receptionist from before, different receptionist. So I'm like, yes, your buddy's right there. So I turn around, and this guy stands up, tall guy. So supposedly he's my friend. I've known him for a while, and I'm waiting for this guy. So, hey, what's up, bud? Walk over, give him a hug, and immediately just smell that this guy smells like hell. So in my world, we always want to look good, smell good, be presentable, right? This guy looked like he had been in prison for 3 days and hadn't showered because he stunk. So for me, man, that was like a huge red flag for me. Right there, I'm like, what the hell? So we sit down. He takes off this bag he has, boom, puts it on the couch. And he's like, yeah, man, rough ride. The bus broke down on the way from Cali to Ipiales, which is the border with Ecuador. He's like, yeah, it was just rough. I had to catch a hotel, and that's why I'm here, a day late. So I was like, all right, man. I was like, why don't you just go back to your hotel, take a shower, come back, and we'll go out later, grab something to eat or something, because I haven't gone out really. He's like, all right, yeah, sounds good. So grab the bag. When I go to put it on, I feel that there's not a kilo inside that bag. So in my head, I'm like, is this guy robbing me right now? I'm thinking, he's just giving me half the stuff, and he's probably going to disappear with the rest of it. Because whatever the case may be, down there at the moment and in Ecuador, that key was probably like 10 grand, right? Once it hits the States, it duplicates, 4 or 5 times. But I knew there wasn't a key in there because I've held them before. So I start walking, bam, bam. I get up, start walking, and boom, I get hammered. There's DEA, there's Interpol. Don't move, don't move. The guy with the paper throws it was everybody that was in the lobby was police. So they grabbed me up, boom, they rushed me to the elevator, they put me in, and they started reading me my rights and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh God, this guy gave me up. We get upstairs, they open up the door, boom. As soon as the elevator opens, I smell the smoke, there's cops in the room. They just take me in, they're like, all right, what is this? They empty the bag, and there was already a capsule in there broken in half. Once I saw that, I was like, oh God, this guy just gave me up, straight up just snitched on me. So they're like, what is that? And I was like, I don't know, I'm coming to pick up money. I don't know what that is. They're like, oh, you don't know what that is? That's heroin. They're like, and in this country, we're going to give you 25 years for this drugs that you have on you now. So you sure you want to talk? I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So they pretty much, go through the safe. They look at my passport. My passport, since I had used it a lot, the part where the picture is, the plastic was kind of coming off. So they were like, oh, this passport's fake. Are you lying? And they were like, bam, started smacking the hell out of me. I mean, like, hit me, like, really hard. And one of the cops was like, all right, stop. And I was like, listen, man, you got to call the embassy. I'm American. That passport's been used plenty of times. That's why it's like that. So they handcuffed me, take me downstairs, put me in a car. Now we're off to Interpol, which is across the street from the airport. And once I'm walking through Interpol, I'm going down this long hallway, and I pass a room on my right. I look in, and I see the guy that just brought me the drugs in there, sitting at a table, talking to some guy. So that just confirmed it for me that obviously he set up everything. I mean, I know what's going on. They take me to this room, and they lock me in there, and they're like, we'll be back in a little bit. So, like, about 2 hours go by, and this DEA agent walks in, young black kid from Manhattan, speaks perfect English. He's just stationed in Quito. So he's like, hey, what's going on, man? You know, obviously, you know why you're here. You know, we caught you trafficking drugs. What do you want to do? You want to cooperate? He's like, right now? He's like, when's your flight? We know the ticket's there. We'll put you on that flight. I'll accompany you all the way to Queens. You're going to go out. We're going to do a controlled, you're going to hand it over, but it's going to be controlled. So you're going to get wherever you have to take those drugs, and we're going to be following you. So I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't come to pick up drugs. I'm coming to pick up money, and there's nobody I'm taking it to. This is my money. And he's like, okay, so you want to play games? That's fine. He's like, you're going to do 25 years here, kid. So think about it, and if you want, here's my card. And he left. They took me, they threw me in a holding cell, and I was there for about 3 days, right? Really no food, no water. I mean, I think I got a sandwich in like 2 days. And there was nothing to sleep on. It was just a concrete slab. And there was a window with some bars, and it was wide open, so all the cold air was coming in. I was freezing. And no phone calls, nothing. No human rights down there. So finally, they come and open up the gate. They're like, all right, kid, let's go. I'm like, where am I going? You're going to Tulcan. It's a city where your case starts. So they put me in the back of a pickup. They handcuffed me to some metal bar that's there, and we're off on like a 6-hour journey through the mountains of Ecuador in the back of a pickup to this small jail in Tulcan. It was the worst ride of my life, you know, in the back of a pickup. It was crazy.
Was it open and it was cold out, right?
Yes, it was open. It's cold. I'm going through the mountains. It was a night trip.
Jesus. And your hands are up.
My hands are, yes, they're handcuffed to the sidebar. No, I couldn't move. It was ridiculous. I'm just bouncing around in the back. It was like a horrible ride, probably the worst of my life. And we arrive at Tulcan, and they take me to, like, let's say the police station. So I get to the police station. They put me in a holding cell. I walk in. There's, like, some random people there for, like, small petty crimes in the city. They look like complete drug addicts, like faces cut, like they look horrible, like straight out of a movie. So when I walk in, immediately they all get up. They're like, oh, fresh meat, right? So I speak to them in Spanish, and then they're like, what? Like, you speak Spanish? I'm like, yeah. So they're like, oh, okay. So they kind of like backed off, and so I tell them my story, and they're like, oh, okay, you're going to be good. Don't worry. The jail here is run by the Colombians. He's like, you're going to be fine. So I guess they didn't do anything because they knew we're all going to end up in the same small jail eventually, and that's what happened. So a couple days later, it's December 24th. One of the police officers comes, and he's like, all right, kid, we're going to the jail. I'm shaking nervous, right? I mean, not literally, but on the inside. I've never been to jail in the States, been arrested many times, never touched a jail. So they take me out of this holding cell, and then we're walking down the block, handcuffed with 2 police officers. As we're walking, I hear salsa music. So I think, you know, what's going on? As we get closer, the music's even louder. We get to the gate, bang on the gate. A lady guard opens the gate door, smiles at me, and she looks back at the other guards. She's like, a gringo. And I'm like, no, I'm not a gringo. And they're like, oh, you speak Spanish? Yes. Okay. They're like, oh, don't worry, you're going to be fine. I come in, you know, the fingerprints, the pictures, left, right, all this good stuff. You have tattoos. And she's like, don't worry, inside it's a party. You're going to be fine. I'm like, what is going on? After like 30 minutes of that, they walk me down through these tunnels, hallways. And at the end, there's like these bars, and I see sunlight flashing through, and there's just heads like looking around. They're trying to look down the hallway. They're looking to see what's coming, right?
New guy.
And they all start yelling and shaking the doors. It's like, shh. They're like, fresh meat. And everybody's just yelling. I'm like, oh my God.
How intimidating is that?
Oh my God. I was, forget about it.
You were 20.
In a foreign country. I'm 20 years old, by myself. I don't know anybody, right? So it's not like I got locked up in my own town. I'm going to hit the county jail and all my boys are there. No, I don't know anybody here. I have no idea what's going on. They open up that gate, and then a couple of them like run up to me and like try to grab my suitcase, and then I see they're laughing. And I was just like, what the hell's going on? And then I look to my right, and there's this white kid, blonde hair, blue eyes, and he's like, white boy? I was like, you speak English? He's like, yeah, bro, what's up? He's like, I was raised in Miami, but I was born in Colombia. Like, come with me. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. I'm walking through and I'm looking, because I'm walking through the yard. Basketball courts, soccer court. There's like 3 wooden huts in the back. Those are stores. I would find out later. I see like a couple pool tables throughout the place. There's people dancing salsa. They got little small speakers, 3'4" speakers on the yard. Everybody's dancing. There's women, there's kids. What is this? Go up the steps. Alex takes me to this room, knocks on the door. He's like, hey, it's Alex. They open up the door. This is the guy that runs that jail. His name was Orlando. Opens up and he's like, hey, we got a new one. So they bring me in the cell, close the door because you can lock your own door there. I walk in and there this guy is. His wife's cooking up a meal. There's 2 kids watching cartoons on the TV, and he's there with 2 cell phones on the bed. Now I'm looking, scanning the room, right? There's bunk beds. You know, there's some beds have small, like 14-inch TVs encrusted like in the wall. Like they chiseled out the wall. They put the TV in there, so you're in your little bunk and you have your TV right there. So when you close in at night, you can watch your shows. And I'm like, what is? I look at the lady. She's sitting there with like a 14-inch knife, like cutting meat. I'm like, what is this? So they're like, all right, tell us your story, kid. Explain everything to them. They're like, all right, obviously you know you got set up, right? Like, yeah, we all know that. So like, where's the other kid? I don't know where he is. Never saw him. So the guy's like, listen, man, today's December 24th. As you can tell, it's party time. I know it's rough. It's your first day, but try to forget about it. You're going to be fine here. Go with Alex. He's going to show you a good time. He's like, Alex, take him to where the girls are, you know. I leave, walking down the hallway, see women, kids, hot women. Like, all right, walking down. We get to a cell, open up the door, it's a party. There's like strobe lights, red, blue lights inside. There's a plate of cocaine on the table. They got bottles of Chivas Regal whiskey. And it's a party. December 20th. And not only that, but in this jail, there's women, prisoners, that are in the building next door that are connected. And there's a spot where we can go and we can talk to them. We could touch them. We could kiss through the, I mean, it was insane. That day, they are on our side because it's a party. So all the women prisoners are on this side of the jail now, and we're living it up. It's like we're not even in jail.
Ecuadorian prison sounds amazing.
Yeah, I would say that party was amazing. It was crazy. Nothing like the jails here or the prisons up here, of course. Nothing like it. Walk into the cell, and it's party time. From day one, we're drinking, whatever, you know, it's just crazy. And I'm with this kid that speaks perfect English. You know, I'm even in contact with him till this day. I've done a podcast with him on my channel. You know, he's now an English teacher. He has his own school down in Colombia, and he's a rehabilitated man, you know, ex-hitman, ex-gang member, ex-everything. But it's just an amazing story as well. And that was my first day in an Ecuadorian jail.
Okay, so you go there and you experience Christmas Eve, and what was it like after that? I could assume at some point, I mean, jail / prison can't be in Ecuador, can't be like that all the time. So what was it like on a daily basis, and how long were you in there for?
So in that small jail, I was there for about 11 months. Now, that jail, when I got there, luckily I had some money saved up. I also had a lawsuit that I was paid when I was in the jail. My father had to come down, get a notary. We had to sign some paperwork. He had to come back so he could actually get the check that I got from my lawsuit. So first thing I tried to do when I got there was set myself up. So, I have a business, something, an entrance of money, right? So pool table, we bought one of the stores. And then I started trying to invest my money in cocaine. So, obviously met somebody inside the jail, and he was like, man, if you got the money, I got somebody who'll bring it in. I got the connect outside. We'll buy it. We'll pay this lady to bring it in, and then we'll supply the jail. So to me, I'm thinking dollar signs. Let's go. Let's do it. So we buy 50 grams, get it in. This visit brings it in herself. She gets paid. She leaves. So we do that twice. Things are going great. On a daily basis, the jail is not always a party, obviously. There's days where there could be fights, there could be a stabbing, there's days where there's nothing. But my days were usually exciting because I was in the store, I'm chilling, people are coming to see me, buy things, get things on credit. People are looking for cocaine, weed, so I was always busy, right? So which was a good thing. There was also, there was a gym there, they had made weights out of like concrete. So we'd hit the gym, we'd be on the patio. The guards would hit us up from the guard towers, like, hey, you guys need liquor? Like, yeah, all right, send me $40. Tomorrow I got you. He'd drop down a string. We'd tie up the $40. He'd take it back. Next day when he comes back to shift, boom, you ready? Send down the string with a bottle on it. That was like an everyday thing. It was crazy. You could send to buy food outside. The food in the jail was horrible. I don't think I have to tell you much about it, but it was just, disgusting. Huge pots for like, at the time when I was there, I think it was like 400 prisoners in that jail. So in the mornings they baked bread, and they would give you like it'd be like a hot coffee or a hot chocolate. That's it. That's all you would get. And then lunchtime would be like fish or steak, but like really thin. And then it'd always be rice, like a ton of rice. So luckily, I had money. I didn't have to eat that. I would send to buy food outside, American style. It's cheeseburgers, pizza, anything I wanted. Just pay the guard. He'll go pick it up. He'll come back, buy him a burger or something, because over there they were making like $190 a month as a guard. So think about it. They're taking care of all these prisoners that probably make more money in the jail, loaning money, selling drugs or whatever. And they have to come in and see you every day. So, of course, they want some of that money, too. So that's why they bring in liquor. They'll bring in knives. They'll do whatever they have to do to make some extra cash, right?
Sounds like Uber Eats.
Yeah,
you just pay them. They'll go outside, get it for you, and bring it right back.
Pretty much it was like that. So, yeah, it was a crazy experience. And so back to selling cocaine, we get the third run in. She gets in, take it out. We do our thing. We bag everything up. I go downstairs to go, let the visit leave for the day. As I'm getting to the door for the visits to exit, the police start coming in the yard and throw everybody on the ground, all the visits. They're rushing them out the door, and they take over the jail, right? Now, they take over the jail, and then they stand us up about 10 minutes later, and they tell us everybody goes to their cell. So we're all walking upstairs. We all get to our rooms. And they're like, all right, one representative to the room stands in the doorway of each cell. So I stand there, and a couple of police officers come in and start gutting out the cell, ripping through everything, right? They're looking probably for drugs, weapons, whatever the case may be. And they check the cell, my heart's thumping. I just got this drugs in. I just put in a stash in the wall, and, it's a lot. There's like 300 bags of cocaine there. For me, there were nickel bags. It was like 50 grams we bagged up. So they do the search. They didn't find anything. Thank God. They leave, they clear the room, we're just standing there, they move on to the next one. Now, as this is going on, there's a bunch of cops walking around, and some little guy walks up to the cell where I'm at, and he looks in, and he looks at me, he's like, did they search this room? I said, yeah, those two already searched it. He's like, all right, well, I'm gonna check it again. And he walks in, and he just starts scanning the kitchen area where we had like the cupboards where we put plates and cups, and he's like trying to move it, because these are wooden cabinets that we put up there, and they're in with screws, right? So he's trying to shake them to see if there's anything behind it. And so I had this little wooden plaque where we'd hang the big spoons for like the fries, taking them out the oil. And he takes the spoons off, and he goes to move that wooden piece, and he just pulls out the nail, and it falls. So the wooden piece falls, and immediately he turns and looks at me and he smiles. And he's like, all right. He walks out and he yells for, I guess, the captain or whatever to come down. And the captain gets to the cell. Another cop comes. They turn on a video camera. They're filming everything. So they're like, all right, we just found this. And it's like a report. Found this hole right here on the wall. Now we're going to have, one of the officers check it. The officer comes in, puts his hand in, and then boom, takes out the huge bag of cocaine. Whose is this? Nobody says a word. And they're like, all right, no problem. Left us there. They took the evidence, noted where it was from, all our names. And then from that moment on, it's just, for me, it was hell. Because obviously I'm going to have to say it's mine. Because if not, everybody's going to catch the charge.
Yeah.
So a couple days later, the director of the jail calls me, go up to the office, and he's like, all right, who's going to fess up? It's either one or we're putting it on everybody. And everybody's like, right? They're all looking at me. I'm like, all right, it's mine. I didn't know at the time, but if you got caught doing internal drug trafficking, it was a 12-year stackable sentence. So I take the blame for it, and the next day I call the lawyer. Now, I haven't even been sentenced for my first original case, which is the international drug trafficking. And I call my lawyer and I tell him, I just got caught with drugs. They're trying to hit me with internal drug trafficking. What can we do? And he just tells me flat out. He's like, are you crazy? You have no idea what you got yourself into. I was like, what do you mean? He said, in this country, when you get caught selling drugs inside the jail, it's a stackable offense. So whatever you get, and you're most likely to get anywhere from 8 to 12 years on international drug trafficking, you're going to get another stackable 12 on top if you get found guilty. So right there, for me, like, my life was over. I'm 20 years old. It's like they just shut the door on me. So in my head, I'm calculating, what am I going to get out when I'm 43, right? If I get out, how are you going to last that long in a foreign country? So for me, it was just hell, right? Depression. And that's probably one of the worst days of my life, to be honest.
Now, you go on, you are sent to another jail from there, or do you go right back to the same jail that you were caught selling drugs in?
So I'm caught in that jail, and since I get caught and I know now that the charges that are coming are gigantic.
Hefty.
I talk to the boys in the cell. I'm like, listen, man, I'm going to probably be here forever. And you guys are probably going to be here for the next 8 to 12 years because we were all new. Let's try to get out of here. So we all decided, and we came to a decision that, let's try to get out of here, any way we can. Now, it was 5 of us, and one of the guys in my cell was a guy from Spain, and he weighed like 450 pounds. Gigantic dude, heavy smoker, heavy eater. There's no way he's getting out climbing walls with us, so, he's out of the question. So one of the guys that's with us, he's like, bro, I'm going to call my father. I'll have him bring us these drops, and we can just start doing every day at 7 p.m. We used to get locked in the cell. So we'll do, grilled cheese. We'll do a coffee, hot chocolate, bread, whatever the case may be. We'll try to do it as a routine, and then we'll start putting these drops in this guy's drink and knock him out, and we could go to work. So that's what we started doing. So he would go to sleep, start snoring like a bear, and while he's sleeping, we're bringing down the wooden, little closet that's up on the roof, on the ceiling of the cell, and we're cutting through the sheetrock, right? So we get hot water in the cell. There was water, and we throw it, splash it up against it. It would disintegrate because this jail is so old. So hot water and just chiseling it, little by little. Once we chiseled the hole big enough where you could stick your hand through with a mirror, we could see that there was a whole another floor of rebar. I don't know if have you ever seen when they pour concrete and they do that whole rebar thing? So that's what it was like directly above the ceiling of our cell. So that was a huge problem for us.
How are you getting through that? Right.
Now we got to get a Sawzall? Are we getting machinery? What's going on? And so we figured out, we talked to somebody, they're able to get us in these blades that cut metal. So we start cutting little by little. Luckily, I guess this rebar was so old we were able to go through it like butter. I mean, literally, a couple days work, and we made a hole big enough for us to pop through. So now, the next time we open that hole, it's going to be to go. Because we knew that whenever it rains there, the guards at the guard tower on the roof, they would usually fall asleep because we could see him from our room. And since it was all glass, you would see him like face up against the glass, all foggy, you know he's knocked out. So we were planning on that. But every day we were just nervous because you never know when the cops are going to come again. Our room is hot already. I just got caught with, 300 bags of cocaine. So we get a search. They come in, they tear up the room. We're good. We passed one, thank God. We get another search like a week later, they find the hole. They beat us, they closed the cell. We all got moved to different rooms and black and blue for like 2 weeks. And then here comes the transfers. We all get transferred to a different prison. Now, once I get picked up and they move me to the bigger prison in Quito, this is where I find out that the prisons in Ecuador are no fun and games. The jail I was in was a 5-star hotel compared to where I went. Because although inside this huge prison, we had everything just like in the smaller jail. And there was restaurants, there was cells that were converted into stores. There were cells that maybe there was 2 cells next to each other. They knocked down the wall, made it into a club, right? But all these things are run by mobsters inside. And I didn't know that inside there's people walking around with guns, right? There's people walking around with 16-inch knives. People are getting stabbed every day. There's shootings. I mean, it's chaos.
In the prison?
In the prison. It's chaos. So, walk in the prison the first day. I'm still black and blue. Obviously, all the shift is waiting for me because they want to see the American that wanted to escape from the other jail, right? So here comes the American, this little white boy, clean
Gringo.
cut. Hey, gringo, you thought you were going to get away, huh? Yeah. So everybody comes up, identifies me. Everybody looks at me, look you up and down, the whole crew. And they're like, all right, take him to the hole. And when I go to turn around to go up the steps, there's like all cops lined up the stairs. I have to go up 4 flights to get to the hole. So the guy looks at me, he's like, you're going to the hole? It's on the 4th floor. Run. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, better run. And I turn around, and then they just start beating me with these wooden things. And I'm just running up. I'm falling. I'm tripping. I'm falling down. I'm getting kicked. Keep running. Get all the way to the top. And this was like a movie because it was like a dark hallway. At the end of the hallway, there's like this light like moving, and it's flickering on and off, right? It's like a cold hallway. And I was just like, what is this? They open up the gates. It's creaky. It's like, just walking in. My heart is like in my throat because I don't know where I'm going. Scared out of my mind. Luckily, I know that there's people in this big prison that were in the smaller jail with me prior. Remember, like I told you, met White Boy Alex, met Orlando, and their crew. So a couple months after I was there, they were all sentenced and transferred to the bigger prison. So even though I'm scared, I'm walking through these halls, anybody that tells you he's not scared that's walking into a prison is a liar. So as hard as you may think you are, there's always somebody harder than you and somebody that has nothing to lose, which that's something that I learned in prison over there. So get there, and I hear people, hey, turn on the lights, inside the room they're about to put me in. So he opens up the lock to the door, and they open up the door, and it's just pitch black. And then right next to me, I see like a spark. And they're turning on the lights because it's the cables they have to connect. Some guy got electrocuted, turn on the lights, like, ah! Zip. And then I look around, there's like 8 people on the floor, sleeping on like 1-inch thick mats. There's 6 beds, they're all occupied. And then to the right, there's like this little hole in the floor, which I found out later, that's our toilet. There's no toilet seat. And I'm scanning the room like this, and then somebody says, yo, white boy. And I look, I'm like, what? He's like, oh, you're American. And he's like, come over here. Just like that. No accent, nothing. So I'm like, you're American? He's like, yeah, bro, I'm from Queens. Where are you from? So I tell him, bro, I was living in Queens. I had an apartment 111, 41st Ave. He's like, oh, I'm from Jackson Heights. So we start talking, sit down. He's like, what are you here for? Explain. I was about to leave, got caught. He's like, oh man, that's hilarious. He's like, I tried to escape too. Mind you, this guy, he's white like me, and he's black and blue. Both eyes are black and blue, like he got beat up. His arms are all like welded up, his legs. I mean, he could barely move. And he's like, you see me? He's like, yeah. I got into a relationship with the psychiatrist in the office. He was doing his thing with her, finally convinced her to bring in a police uniform that he purchased on the outside. She brings it in, takes it upstairs to her office. He gets a pass from her to come out, goes to her office. He changes, and he waits for the shift to do their change at 12 in the afternoon. So when they're doing the shift change, there's like 40 officers walking out at the same time. Now they're walking out through the offices. So the psychiatrist opens up the door, waves at all the police officers walking by, and then she just lets him walk out, and he just joins the crew. And he's just walking at the end. You know, got the whole police uniform on. He's walking out. There's 3 gates that he has to go through. Gets through the first 2. No problem. They just open up the door, they let everybody walk out, they close it behind them. Exited the 3rd gate, and that's going straight. You're in the street. He's free. He's outside. Now, the jail was on a hill, so he has to walk down the hill now to get access to a taxi that's on the main Ave. As he's walking down, since it's 12 o'clock, there's guards that are coming to their shift, maybe late, I don't know, but they're walking up the hill as he's coming down. Now, mind you, this guy is named now in the prison, and everybody knows him because he tried to escape, you know. So he's walking down, and these guys are looking up, and they see him. And they're like, oh, my God, look at... And they tackle him to the ground. They start beating him. They start yelling for other police officers to come. They grab him. They pick him up. They take him inside. And he's like, here I am, man. He's like, they beat me every night. He's like, get ready, man. They're going to come for us. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, they just come in this long hallway. They're going to take us all out. You know, they're all going to be masked up, and they're going to have these huge wooden sticks. Bro, he's like, they're going to beat the hell out of us. So, yeah, 2 or 3 in the morning, we hear the keys. My heart's racing. I'm like, what the hell? Boom, somebody sticks out the mirror. They're like, bro, they're coming. So we all get ready, and they're already yelling. They're like, all right, you mother, get up, get up, get up. They start banging on the door. I'm like, what is this? This is hell. They take us out, everybody on the floor, face down on the floor. They start running over us with their boots on. They're running over us back and forth. There's like 20 people. They're hitting us with the batons and these wooden like bats that they made, and on them they wrote in black marker, human rights. Like, you want human rights? This is your human rights, and they were just whacking us. So since we were on the ground face down, they would hit you in the back of the legs, like all down your calf muscles and your inner thighs. It was ridiculous. I couldn't walk for like 2 weeks.
How long were you in the hole for?
When I got there, I believe it was like 30 to 40 days, something like that, because I get transferred because of an intent to escape. So you get transferred, and then they send you to the hole for that.
You were getting beatings every night?
Not every night, but it was occasionally for like the first 2 weeks. After that, they stopped. But yeah, it was pretty bad.
Were you in fear that entire... Like, I couldn't imagine that type of fear.
No, yeah, you're
not
in fear.
Knowing...
You don't know when it's going to happen. Every time the door, you would hear the keys jingle, and it'd be like, you know, your stomach hurts because you don't know what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, oh, it's just the food. Thank God, right? So eventually I find out, you know, those type of beatings and things like that don't happen to the real gangsters or people inside the prison, right? Us, it's different. We try to escape. I'm coming from another jail. Nobody knows me here. I have no type of weight to my name either. I'm just some foreign gringo that, you know, landed in prison. So eventually I get my number called, and I'm going down to the prison. Now, while I'm up there, I'm getting stuff from the guys I know. They're sending me weed, you know, Coca-Cola, you know, food. They're sending me money. You know, what do you need? $20, whatever you need. They would send it with the kitchen crew. So they would come bring us breakfast, and they'd be like, hey, Oscar, here you go, bam. Here's a note from Orlando. I'd open it up, eat some weed in it, some cash. You know, let me know what you need. I'd write back, here, take this back to him. And that's how we communicated throughout the time I was up there. But once I got down, it was like a different world. So I get down. Remember, this is December 2002, I entered the prison. So now I'm entering this huge prison in December, and now it's also a party down there because I get transferred in December. So walk in, this guy Orlando, I walk into his cell. Now I see that 2-man cells. He's got his cell hooked up, painted nice bright white. He's got a black light bulb, like crazy psychedelic posters, you know, mini fridge. I'm like, bro, this is sick. How'd you do this? He's like, let's go take a walk. So we going for a walk on the block. He's like, this cell, opened it up. He's like, this is for sale if you want. It's $500. Walked over here. He's like, this kid, he's leaving soon. He's like, his cell's $2,000, everything. It's got 2 queen-size beds. They're modified. Got a big screen TV, DVD player mounted on the wall. You know, nice kitchen area fixed up. You know, tiles everywhere. Got a hot shower inside the cell.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm like, what is this? This is crazy.
Which one did you buy?
So we bought one that was gutted. We hooked it up to my liking.
Renovation?
Painted it, renovations completely. Put a separation between where I sleep and the bathroom, kitchen area. So it was nice, a wooden separation with a good sliding door. You know, put up my TV, DVD player. You know, had PlayStation sent to me. So luckily, I had my family that never abandoned me. So they would send me things. I was able to, you know, hook everything up.
That's wild. So
Crazy.
How long were you in jail/prison in total in Ecuador?
Total, I was there for 7 years.
Okay. What happened with your case? So you were transferred to that prison roughly. You went from December 2021, 3 months after 9/11.
Yeah, it was like about 11 months I was in the small jail until I
Yep.
intended to escape, and they sent me to the bigger prison in Quito.
Okay. And then when did you find out, like, what happened in the court system in Ecuador to find out that you were getting 7 years?
Yeah, so pretty much after they transfer me, they had to take me back to the small town for my my case because it starts over there. So I get the word, you know, you're going to court this date. So they, you know, come get me, the police, you know, wrap up your face with toilet paper, put tape on it, throw you in the back of the truck, and we're back to Tulcan, 6-hour ride. Get to the court. So we're fighting the case. I got a lawyer. But the best thing he could do was he told me, you know, $8,000 will get you 8 years. So besides the money I had to pay him to defend me, we had to pay $8,000, and we got 8 flat.
And you got out in 7.
I got out in 7, luckily, because a new president came in and took over the country. His name was Rafael Correa. And once he took over the country, he signed a treaty which said all prisoners that have 50% of their time paid or more that are foreigners, I want out because the prison was getting too overpopulated and the wars were going on. There was killings and it was just mayhem.
So what, you get out in 2007?
2008, September 26, 2008.
All right, so you get out of prison in Ecuador. What happens? They deport you right to the U.S.
So no, it's funny. I was just talking about this with my friend on the drive up. So one day I get called out to the office. I go out and they're like, "All right, kid, you're free." And I was like, "What?" They were like, "Yep, you got to sign here, sign here, sign here." Start signing my life away like you're buying a new car.
Couldn't sign it quick enough.
I was like, bam, bam, bam. Signed everything. And then I'm like, all right, so where are we going? And they were like, well, you know, that's the bad news. Unfortunately, immigration's backed up. There's a ton of people, and they just had a fire on one side of the building, so there's no room, and those holding cells are closed down, so you're going to have to wait. Now, at this time, I'm actually in the maximum security wing because I was, you know, selling drug, extorting at the end, and got a bunch of slips dropped on me, and they shipped me to maximum with the big boys. So I'm back after I sign everything. They send me back to maximum security, 22-hour lockdown a day, and then 2 hours on the yard. And you're on the yard with a bunch of killers. So everybody there's for murder. I think I was the only one with an 8-year sentence. Most of them were 25 to 35 years. If you stab somebody, you get sent there. If you murder somebody, you get sent there. Extortions, intent to escape, you go to F-wing. So that's where I ended up, and I was free for 3 months, still on 22-hour lockdown, and having to go out in the yard with all these killers. You know, trying not to let anybody know, stressed out of my mind. And, you know, when you're in prison, you know, it's hard to say you make friends because that's a big word, right? But you make acquaintances, and I met somebody there that was running the block, and he helped me out a lot. One story I have was, before I left, I was heavy into drugs. I was smoking freebase all the time. That's all we did in F-Wing, because it was crazy. There's nothing to do, and the 2 hours that you're out, you're trying to get something from the other side. There was a wall between F-Wing and the main prison. We'd yell, hey. One of my friends would be on the other side. We send a kite, roll up a paper with some coins, dollars, throw it over, then they throw back cigarettes, drugs, and then everybody's to their cell to get high. You know what I mean? That was the routine there. So I'm in this F-Wing, and still free. I'm still there. One day I send to buy drugs. It falls back on the patio, and somebody else picks it up and runs. And this guy's got a 16-year sentence for manslaughter. So at the moment, that was like my breaking point. Like, I flipped out, right? I was like, that's it. I'm going to kill this motherfucker. I'm going to the cell. I go find my boy. I'm like, listen, bro, this guy just took my stuff. Give me a knife. And that's it. He was like, what are you talking about? I was like, man, I've just had it, bro. Like, he was like, do you really want to stay here with me forever? He was like, sit down. So I sit down on the bed, like I'm at the point of like the rage and the fury where, tears are coming out of my eyes. So he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, listen, man, I'm going to tell you the truth. I've been free for 2 months. They don't let me go. And this guy just stole my drugs. I was like, man, I can't stand it anymore. And he was like, listen, he's like, you see me? You see the wars we've been in? If you want to stay here for the rest of your life, I'll give you the knife. And you could go kill him. I'll make sure nobody gets in your way. You can go have your one-on-one with him. But I'm going to leave you in this cell for 5 minutes. I just want you to think about what you're telling me. And you think about if you want to be here with me 10 years down the line, or if you're going to be alive. So I'm going to leave, you think about it, and I'll come back. And if you're ready, let me know. You can do whatever you want, kid. So he walked down, he locked me in a cell, sat there contemplating what I'm going to do, tears coming down of my eyes. And he comes back and he tells me, he's like, you ready? What do you want to do? I was like, you're right. Thank you. Because anybody else would have just been like, here's a knife. Go do whatever you want, right? So I thanked him, hugged him. And he was like, man, forget this guy. Drugs? He's like, bro, you're going to go free. He's like, you know what? He's like, come on. We're going to go grab a guard. We're going to hold him here, and we'll have the director come. I got you. So we go out. We talk to the other guys on the block. And everybody was with it. They were like, yeah, man, let's do it. Next guard that comes in, we'll grab him up, throw him in the cell. These guys don't care. They're not going nowhere. So the guard came in for the count. They pulled knives on him. Boom, we grabbed them, threw him in the cell, locked them in because we got our own locks. We could lock our own cell. Locked them in the cell, called the director on his walkie-talkie. He called, said he's kidnapped inside F-Wing. Cops come, the director comes, everybody's there, knives out in hand. And they're like, what's up with white boy? Why don't you let him go? He's already free. You guys want him to stay here? You see the guard that's in the cell? We're going to go inside. We're going to kill him. You want him to be here every day? You could see him because he's going to take care of this guy. If he's free, let him go. Do whatever you have to do, but let him go free. He's not a part of us. He's not a part of this life. He's already been free. So, basically everybody got together, fought for me. We said what we had to say. The next day, immigration came and took me out.
That is insane. Do you fly home?
Yes.
Right back immediately?
Catch a flight, straight back to Newark, like nothing ever happened, jump off the plane, and there's nothing. There's no interrogation, there's no DEA, there's no Interpol, there's no interview, there's nothing. I came back like if I'd never left, walked off that plane, my family was there waiting for me, and just back to regular life.
Okay, so this 2008, you're back to regular life. You have a drug habit from prison.
Correct.
Do you come back? Do you get back into the game? And where are you at with your addiction once you get back?
So, in prison, I always prayed, if I ever got out, I promised I would never go back to chemical drugs and I would leave all the habits I had in the past. So luckily when I got out, because I'll tell you, when I was in immigration, I was there for about 15 days, 12 days. Even in there was Colombians getting cocaine inside immigration jail. And we're sniffing cocaine, we're drinking liquor. This is days prior to me leaving. So when I get back, I say I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not going back to the life. And I just decided to change my life, try to find a job, which was very difficult. I came back during the Depression. 2008, there was no work, and the country was just horrible. So I just kept going, man. Just started looking for a job, got one, moved on to a better one, and progressed little by little. That's it. Never going back to anything chemical. Smoke weed, and it's something I'll never leave. And I'll say it here. I believe weed, marijuana helps me stay sober. So, it's something that I do, and it helps me, and I just feel comfortable with it. And I don't think I'll ever be leaving it because it's just something that helps me out daily.
I think it's very important to say, so they call that California sober.
Okay.
If I could smoke weed and not do drugs, I would do it. If you can, I commend you if you can smoke weed and not go back to, you said freebasing, coke,
Yeah,
etc.
everything.
Then, more power to you. Look, man, different things work for different people. I know people that have gotten sober and that smoke weed. I know people that had drug problems and drank. I know for myself, I'm like addict, thick and through, dude. I pick up and I smoke once, but then I'm smoking again an hour later. Then it's on my mind obsessively, compulsively. I'm thinking about it, when I'm going to bed, smoking right when I wake up, and then it turns into, well, then I could have a couple drinks, and then I'm going back to doing Oxycontins. And if, that is not the case for you,
yeah,
I commend you, man. And how long have you been off of freebase and coke and all the hard stuff?
Since the day I left prison.
2008.
September 26, 2008. That's it. That's I left it all behind there. That's the date. That's the deadline.
Wow.
It was over.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, no, I thank the Lord, and I think it has a lot to do with, my family never abandoning me. When I came back, I had my stepsister helped me out. My parents were always there for me throughout my whole prison sentence. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Love you both. My father, rest in peace. But
sorry about your dad, man.
Yeah, me too. But luckily, he was able to see me when I got out, saw me change my life, become a better person, became a hard worker, and I'm happy with what he saw before he left.
So you're doing a lot right now. You're speaking a lot.
Yeah.
You're obviously telling your story because I feel like we just talked about in rap music, movies, that life is glamorized, glorified, and it looks pretty attractive. When I was younger, I wanted to sell drugs. I wanted to be a rapper. I wanted the nice car. I wanted the jewelry. You went through all that, and then you got caught, and you were held accountable for the actions you were taking. How has your life changed since 2008, and what have you been doing to help others other than the speaking and whatnot, which I think is amazing. I think that it is amazing that you're telling your story because now it'll give a younger person a second thought. Like, do I really want to do that, and do I really want to experience that?
Yeah, so, that's the message we're trying to push, right? So I lived it, so you won't have to, right? Right now, starting my own podcast, starting, throw out videos to make people aware of everything that goes on, not only in Ecuador, but in any foreign prison. That's why we're coming out with Global Lockdown with Oscar Castro. It's about the whole world. This is going to be stories about prisoners that have been locked around the globe, and they're going to tell their stories like I did, right? Because we know about the States. We know what happens here, California, Jersey, Rikers Island, but nobody has an idea what goes on in foreign prisons, like shootouts that last 4 to 6 hours, grenades getting thrown into cells. These are things that happen. You can look up on YouTube. I lived it, but these are things that we don't want anybody to live. What I went through, I don't even think was right. I was sentenced to 8 years in prison, which I believe was great. I know what I did was wrong. I brought drugs over to the country. I don't know if the drugs I brought, somebody overdosed, started a new drug addiction, lost their home, lost their car, lost their kids. So I believe in karma greatly. So what I did has to come around full circle. That's why I paid for what I did, right? Now, did I have to go through what I did? I don't think I should have had to go through all that because, I'm not part of the mafia wars. But once you are inside, you have to adapt. You have to become an animal in the jungle, or else you're going to get swallowed alive, right? So that's what we're trying to push. So telling these stories, to tell them, everybody loves them, but we're trying to educate and for people not to do what I did. Don't try to traffic. Don't go to a foreign country to sell drugs, to bring back anything, because you never know what could happen. If you're doing it now, you're probably doing capsules. It could explode. You could die on the plane trip over. Is $20,000 really worth it? I don't think so. You know, so people could be in a desperate moment. You could be in a desperate moment. You're about to lose your house. You might think, you know, maybe I should travel. I should do this quick trip, 6 hours for 20 grand. But, you know, the temptation's great. Everybody's going to want to do it, but nobody knows. So I think if I put my story out there and people know what you could live through if you decide to do that and get caught, nobody's going to want to do it, you know, because you're not going to want to live through what I lived through. And I'm lucky to make it out. I was stabbed, you know, I've been extorted, I've been put in cells, kidnapped, I've been beaten, I've been through it all, you know, and I don't want anybody to go through it, you know, especially the kids nowadays that are growing up. This is our future, so we have to try to change it.
What would you tell the 16-year-old Oscar that is going into that Christmas party and is approached by older Colombians to work with them in traffic drugs?
If I could go back to that moment and maybe be on my shoulder, I would say just turn around and walk to the train station and go back home. Because even though the moments I lived, you might say, made some money, lived the adrenaline rushes, went out with women, had cars, jewelry, none of that matters in the end, all right? It's all a hoax. You don't need none of that stuff to live, and it's not going to change your life in any way. What's going to change your life is when you get sentenced to a long prison term and your family's going to be in jail with you at the same time. Because, okay, you go to jail, but don't forget your family's also in jail with you, right? Because they're suffering alongside. Because, you know, I was the only son. My mother missed me every day, my father, you know, my other family members. So these are all things that, you know, I want the young people to know and everybody to know. You know, it's not fun. Don't do it. You might end up dead. You never know what's going to happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate your time. Your story is amazing. It's going to help a lot of people. So thank you, Oscar, for coming out.
Thank you, Kevin, for the opportunity. I appreciate everything. I hope to work with you in the future. And Global Lockdown, Oscar Castro. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and we're coming with the fire. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Give him a follow. Give him a follow. Tune in. All right. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
All right.